Hoffman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM, AM 630, WMAL.
Stephen and Wilson this morning. Mary Catherine is off today. She'll be back tomorrow. Jonah Goldberg joins us now, contributing editor, National Review, syndicated columnist. You can read him in the LA Times. Great guy to follow on Twitter. At Jonah NRO is where you can find him. We haven't talked in a while. It seems like you really enjoyed Funland at Rehoboth Beach this summer, huh, Jonah?
Yeah, I guess we haven't talked in a while.
Did you actually go on the pirate ship? That's what I want to know. Did you have the guts to do that?
The rocking thing? Dude, my daughter is an addict on those things. I'd never get away without at least 4 or 5 rides on that thing.
I know, and it's hard. I get a little queasy always after I ride that one. So we've been talking about Occupy Wall Street, obviously, for quite some time. You got a feeling on what these guys are really all about, what they want, and who they are?
Well, it kind of depends who we're talking about, right? Because they're sort of... there are 2 different things going on. It's sort of like one of those magic mirrors where you look fantastic in it, right? So the Democrats in Washington, they look at Occupy Wall Street and they see a Norman Rockwell painting. And everyone else who looks at it sees a bunch of, urine-soaked Maoists. And it's amazing. You hear the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee sent out an email yesterday trying to raise money off of Occupy Wall Street, saying, how dare Eric Cantor call them a mob? And again, and they say, I guess Eric Cantor means by a mob the middle class. And at some point, you just got to wonder when the disconnect sort of hits middle America, that the Democratic Party looks at these guys living in yurts and washing their underwear and bird feeders, and says, that's not middle-class America. Those aren't me. They're calling for revolution. The communications director of the assembly that runs the thing told NPR the other day that he's for the overthrow of the U.S. government. And so...
And you remember the garbage that the Tea Party got when they talked about revolution? I was, oh, my God, they're going to bring guns down to the Capitol and overthrow everything.
When people yelled at the town hall meetings about Obamacare, Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer wrote a piece for USA Today saying that they were un-American. Maybe if only these guys had, if only the Tea Partiers had defecated on her car instead, who knows how much more support she would have got.
But here's my feeling on it, and people want to get upset if they're getting a 4-month extension to protest here in Washington, if that happens, or in New York. My feeling is let them do it, because I agree. The more people see, the more regular Americans see what's going on at these protests. They say, all right, I'm hearing what the Tea Party says, and I'm hearing what they say. I kind of think the Tea Party sounds a little smarter than these guys.
Yeah, no, I really have no problem with it. I'm kind of enjoying watching this thing serve as sort of a political black hole, sucking all these idiots in. And I agree that it should go on. There's a problem, though, and the prediction I'm most confident in is that this whole thing peters out for the simple reason that these friggin' morons, for all the talk about how this is the Arab Spring, it never occurred to them that if you start this in the fall, it's going to get cold really soon.
Right. That's right.
And so, it's one thing, the kids holding up signs saying, I can't believe I had to skip class to protest here. The second you get a frost,
right.
Well, it's supposed to rain.
Refrigerator boxes don't protect you from the cold very well.
That's right. I mean, it's going to rain tonight and tomorrow and the next day. Let's check in on Friday. See how many people are still there Friday morning.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I read your column about Mitt Romney and some of the people who've been taking swipe at Romney over his Mormonism. Your thoughts?
I think it's pretty disgusting what happened at the Value Voters Summit. We don't know whether Perry put this pastor up to it or whether he picked this pastor simply because he knew that there was going to be some swipes at Mormonism. But look, at the end of the day, with the good part about the moral majority, the good part about the whole effort to create a political argument around traditional values, family values, all that kind of stuff, was the argument that we have theological pluralism but moral unity, right? Whether it's Jews or conservative Catholics or evangelical Christians, we all worship differently, but we all have the same sort of core values. And what this Jeffers guy is doing is really repugnant, because he's basically saying that the values matter less than checking off a box about theology. And I think it's a shame, and I think Perry made a real mistake in letting it happen and not more forcefully repudiating it.
We just talked to the guy, Josh Earnest from the White House, and he was predicting that when the vote comes on this procedural vote on the jobs bill, the president's job bill in the Senate today, that they would get, and this is a direct quote, a majority of Democrats, which by my count would be 27. I mean, this bill's not going anywhere.
No, it's not. And Obama, there's all this. The natural tendency among political activists and pundits and everybody else is to constantly assume that the people in power have plans, that they have strategies. Oh, he must be doing this because he's playing the long game. They used to say about Obama, Washington doesn't understand him because they play checkers and he's playing chess. And the reality is that often these people have no clue what they're doing. And I think that's where Obama is. I think, remember they launched that big Attack Watch thing?
Attack Watch!
And then it just basically disappeared because, they don't know what they're doing. They throw out these ideas, they say these things, they lock themselves in rhetorically to these strategies that make no sense. So he's out there sort of embracing the Occupy Wall Street guys, running as a crazy populist, and meanwhile, they need to win independence, and they're basically flailing and at sea. And I think that's their problem.
You're right about one thing. Your theory is correct. I agree with you 1,000% that everybody looks at the White House often and they go, well, it's the White House. They know everything. They've got a big plan that they're keeping from it. You're right. These people put their pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else, and sometimes they don't really have a plan.
Yeah, and whenever you see, and also, I'm not saying these people are dumb, Karl Rove was a smart guy, and James Carville, even though he looks like he just burst out of someone's stomach, is a smart guy. And, but at the same time, when these guys leave the White House, they become pundits and political commentators and all the rest. And they're not any smarter than the other political commentators and pundits and all the rest. And yet they and you can see that. Yet when they're in the White House, when they get to go through that gate, we somehow think that they have mastered everything. And it's sort of a mainstream weak tea version of conspiracy theories, right? When the World Trade Center comes down, well, that must have been planned by the government because the government is so smart and
right. Yeah, they can do those things.
And it just doesn't work that way.
All right, last question. More important tonight for the debate results, is it for Rick Perry or Herman Cain? Who's got the most pressure tonight?
Oh, I think Perry has the most pressure on him. At least, let's put it this way: Perry's feeling the most pressure. I think Cain is still having just a good time, and Perry understands because of this buzz, which I think I've contributed to as much as anybody else, that he's blown it in the debates. That the conventional wisdom now is he needs one really good performance to turn things around for himself. That's not the conventional wisdom I think about Cain. I think Cain just merely needs to be doing as good as he's been doing in these debates to keep getting this attention.
All right.
The stakes are for Perry.
All right. Great to have you on as always, Jonah. Thanks very much.